Hickok 45 here. Welcome to the Hickok 45 Talks channel. That's where you are. Someone asked me to talk about bullets, rounds, firearms, stopping power, all that kind of thing. So, okay, I'll talk about that. Well, actually, I think the last one I saw, they expressed it as the best offense round. And, that sort of question always comes up, doesn't it? It's a very common dilemma, question, issue, challenge to determine if you are a firearm, you're living where you can legally or illegally pack a firearm. It's a question you ask yourself, right? We all ask ourselves, and we all read articles about it, we think about it, we see videos about it, and we wonder about it. Why? Mainly because not many of us are in some sort of self-defense shooting every day, and we don't get the opportunity to learn through experience, trial and error, right? It's not one of those deals where you learn through trial and error very much. You have to rely on just statistics, other experiences, and much of it's anecdotal. But yeah, so much of what we hear and even read, know about is anecdotal. I don't know. But anyway, so I don't have an answer for you, but I do have some things to think about. I can't pretend to know any answer. One of the things that comes up frequently, you'll see comments or people comment on how, well, the 22 long rifles killed more people than anything, and I've been a detective in some city, whatever it is, for so many years, and most of the homicides I've seen, bodies I've had to investigate, were killed with a 32 or a 22. So the answer is right there. Whatever. It's a camera leaning, sorry if it is. But so that's the kind of thing I wanted to home in on. Whether or not Billy Bad Guy, who's trying to lethally harm you, which is the only time really we're pretty much justified in using self-defense, lethal force, right? So whenever Billy Bad Guy is aggressively about to harm you severely, what is your goal? What is my goal? To stop Billy Bad Guy as quickly as possible. That's really our only goal. Essentially. Okay, stop Billy Bad Guy. Sorry, Billy, if your name's Billy, unless you're a bad guy. But that is our objective, to keep from getting hurt. To keep ourselves from assuming room temperature that day, right? That's our goal. That's our goal. It's our objective, to stop Billy Bad Guy. Whether Billy Bad Guy lives throughout the day, throughout the hour, throughout the 10 minutes from now, is kind of irrelevant, right? It's kind of irrelevant to the situation. Now, it may not be relevant or irrelevant in court and all that, and to his family and everything. I'm not saying that. But in terms of whether or not I am sent to that happy shooting range in the sky from Billy Bad Boy's actions, is determined by stopping power, not lethality an hour from now, or whether or not the 22 long rifle ends up causing him to meet his demise. Okay, so the fact that so many people die and have died from a 22 round or a 32 round or whatever round, or a bee sting or whatever, is pretty much irrelevant. May not be always, but it's what stops that person's aggressive behavior, lethal behavior. That's all that matters, okay? It's what works. It's not what works for the day that ends Billy Bad Boy's life's career in assaulting people. It's what ends his activities that second. that 5 seconds, 3 seconds, whatever. Okay, so when you bring that up, or whoever it is, it's you, Joe. I see you there. You're getting ready to type it right now. Now, those comments don't mean much. Even if it is some really smart, experienced detective, emergency room doc, a surgeon, again, emergency physician says, well, I've seen more people, on the slab, or more cadavers with 22 rounds in the body, or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter. You've probably seen a lot of cadavers that died from bee stings too, or whatever. But so it's how a person's going to be stopped. That's the key thing. And then also, I was thinking about stopping power. We use that phrase, and power. It's really not a power thing either necessarily. At some level, it is, right? If someone gets hit with a couple of 50 caliber BMGs, there's a lot of power there, enough that actually does up the game. And bullet placement might not be as critical, still important, but that's where I was leading. The bullet placement is everything. It's everything, whether it's a 22 or 32 or 44 Magnum, because I don't know if anybody's done. I've done just a little bit of hunting. I've shot 2 or 3, 4 groundhogs in my life, and things like that. And it's not like in the movies. Living beings, mammals, animals, they don't react the way they do in the movies quite often. They don't even know they've been shot that first or second time. It's just not like in the movies. And so placement's everything. Without getting too graphic for our younger viewers, whoever those might be, what I'm saying, placement is everything. Study the anatomy, study biology, because a lot of things can make you bleed to death, but that's not very fast usually, is it? So anyway, I didn't tell you much, did I, about the best defense round, because the best defense round is the one that gets placed most lethally, I guess, most quickly, right? Whatever it is. It could be a 22. It could be a 32. It could be a 44 Magnum. It could be anything, right? So that's my take on it. I don't have any answers. A lot of people would like, oh yeah, well, if you carry, a 40 caliber, 145 grain bullet, you have no trouble ever. That's the answer to everything. Or 9mm, 147 grain, such and such round, or whatever. It's a lot more complicated than that. You see anecdotal stories where someone's hit with 2 or 3 slugs from a 12 gauge, and they're not stopped. And then other cases where a 22 short stops somebody immediately. So it just all depends on all that kind of thing, and especially, placement. So no magic bullet, I'm sorry. And most of you know that already, and really everything I've been talking about. It's just that when some seemingly pretty smart people, who probably are pretty smart, start talking about which rounds have offed the most people, it's just not as relevant to the discussion in terms of a concealed carrier, law enforcement, whatever, someone who is needing to save his or her life very quickly. Totally different. It's apples and oranges in so many ways, right? So I'm done. Life is good.